Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on the time that you are catching us from or on. Inategemea uko wapi, but zaidi ya yote karibu sana kwa this awesome edition. This is Afric 24 and this is just a recap of what has just happened or is happening in our country. Karibu sana, ni juzo na mtazamo ukiwa wapi. This is your show, this is your host. This is the afternoon edition. Karibu sana. We are about to dive into many issues affecting our country. Nijuze tu unantazama ukiwa wapi. Could I know where you're watching me from? Let me know hapo tu kwa comment section. Let us know where this is finding you. We have a lot to discuss. We are about to discuss quite a lot. But zaidi ya yote, thank you for joining us. Thank you for choosing Afric 24 to be your number one channel that brings you such kind of content. Consider to subscribe, consider to join us live on these kind of shows. Thank you very much. I'm about to show you and to explain to you issues affecting our country and issues that are interesting. Eh? Issues interesting, and we are about to explain to you the probably kukona mahali tunachezwa. Kuna mahali tunachezwa. You remember, at one time, this issue of blackout was not as serious, but now it seems it's serious, and money now is about to be spent. Wow, karibu sana kwa hii show. We are about to talk about Kenya massive scandal and 66 billion to be spent by the government. Now, is it a justified splurge or is it a swindle? Yeah, kuna mtu ana to con hizi do ama vipi? Why am I saying probably kunaweza kuwa na con? In that this thing hasn't happened once, right? This power blackout hasn't happened once. It's not the first time a country has gone into such issues, but now it has happened in the last 3 months. It has happened thrice. In the last 4 months, it has happened thrice. So we are asking ourselves: could this have been man-made, human generated, so as to explain some spending, some billions of shilling worth of spending? I'll be explaining more. We'll be looking at the newspapers as well, and as well try to make sense of the spending that is about to happen. We are talking of 66 billion, ladies and gentlemen. 66 billion is not simple money, it's a lot of money. We'll try to see whether it's justified as well. We'll also ask ourselves, is it proper? Is it right? Is it wise? Could it have been generated so as to partition some money for it, to explain some money for it? I don't know. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation just now. I will be taking you through the papers as well. Sorry, this ought to have happened earlier, but we are doing it now simply because we care that you watch our program. So we have to do it now. Sorry for the long delay and the long wait, but thank you very much for being part of this awesome conversation we are about to have. Karibu sana, nijuze unantazama ukiwa wapi. This is Afric 24. I'm your host Jakes, the moderator, and karibu sana. Ndipo tu tunaanza anza, lakini zaidi ya yote nijuze unantazama ukiwa wapi. Let me know where you're watching this from. This is your show. This is a show you have come to really love. Above all, this is a channel you have really come to really enjoy. Karibu sana wadau, karibu tu sana. I see many tuning in, many watching in live. Thank you very much. I'm grateful for you guys for being part of this great show. All right, so tuanze hii show, right? Now, I want to begin with the newspaper today. I want to begin from there. Maybe I'll display it kidogo, but we'll come to it later on in this program, even as we discuss it. But it informs the kind of debate we are about to have just now. It informs why the government now chose to spend 66 billion worth of money, or Kenya shillings. 66 billion, eh? Yes, you had me right. 66 billion kwa sababu you know what? We have been experiencing power outage. Now, this power outage made the president to step in to crack the whip, according to the Standard. Sorry, now the Standard explained that. The president had to crack whip. The president had to come out and crack whip, of course, over the failure, or rather over the power outage that has been happening across the country. Now, Sunday, for several hours, the country was plunged into darkness, and for quite a long time, Kenyans suffered the wrath of not having power. It was interesting to see that this was not just in selected parts, but almost across the country. For if you recall, this is not the first time this has happened, and I'm sure you're asking yourself what could be happening. Could there be a human element, or are the blackouts justified? Now, according to the Standard, they're talking about blackouts, and Ruto cracks the whip. I'll be explaining to you how he cracked the whip and what that means to you as a taxpayer. Now, some of these things are not really known to us why they happen, but the CS has over the days tried to come out and explain what causes these power outages. One time he told us that the reason as to why we have such is because of an overflow, or did he call it overflow? I think kitu kama hiyo, in the power supply, and then because of an overload, actually, it causes sudden overload. It causes the power to go out or to shut down or to have blackouts. And now, because of that, one time the reason was because of Trukana line, or supply or source. And then this other day it was because of Kisumu. Yeah, we have seen Kenya Power issue statements. We have seen them trying to go out and about to explain to Kenyans why the constant blackouts. Now, this has been synonymous with this regime. Now, if you go back to previous regimes, this, when it happened, many would suggest something sinister was happening. You remember one time it happened during the swearing in of the former president Mwai Kibaki, the first time many ever experienced this. Of course, it happens, and we equally came on to power rationing some years back. Those were explained, and somehow people tried to justify them. But now, in this Kenya Kwanza regime, it seems as though this will almost be a norm. You know why? Because the CS equally said that because of this power outage, we are likely to be having constant power rationing just to try and prevent them from happening. Wow. So it was interesting to hear from him, how he tried to justify these power outages across the country. And Ruto, the president, had to step in. He had to crack the whip. Now, cracking the whip meant maybe probably because there was an urgent cabinet meeting, because according to the president, this was bringing an embarrassment to the country. Why is it an embarrassment? You can imagine that every time we had power outages, our airport, especially JKIA, was seriously affected. This is the first face. This is the face of our country. This is where our tourists, this is where our visitors, this is where people who land in our country first see, and power outage wasn't happening, has never happened during the day. It happens at night, you know. It happens at night so as to plunge the entire country into darkness. And because of that, the president felt as though this thing is causing a serious embarrassment to our country. Now, some of the measures that were called out in the urgent cabinet meeting that was, I think, was held yesterday, and some of the measures that were taken is that they chose to split transmission line system so that power failure in one part does not affect the entire country, right? Because you can imagine, if what Churchill said to be true, Waziri said that if Turkana is affected, the entire country inakuwa na issue. If Kisumu the other day ndio ilikuwa affected, the entire country ilikuwa na issue. So one of the things they decided to think about was to split transmission line system so that power failure in one part does not affect the entire country. Okay, interesting. Eh? The other thing that they equally came out with was that 8.5 billion to complete the Kenyan solar power project at Seven Fork Dam to provide a safeguard against failure. Yeah, so they proposed that Kenyan has a plant at the Seven Fork Dam, the solar power project. It needs to be completed. I think it hasn't been completed for some time. Reasons it's well known to them, but for now they think now as a matter of urgency that needs to be completed. The next thing that they equally came up with was to deal with the overloading, building Kenya shillings 37.5 billion Bomet Narok line with African Development Bank funding. Eh? Of course, this is funding from African Development Bank that will cost around 37.5 billion. So it is it's a spending that will come from the Africa Development Bank, but eventually you as the taxpayers you will foot these bills, because I'm come in form of loans. Of course, the president during a cabinet meeting termed the frequent nationwide electricity outage as an embarrassment and unacceptable, and of course direct the power bosses to comprehensively deal with the failure that are hurting Kenyans and the country investment profile. Of course, investors will shy away from a country where power blackout is almost a norm, right? So it's interesting that this Sunday's event caused the president to call an urgent meeting. Of course, from the photos there, you are able to see the president and Bwana Chilchil. Okay, that story is on page 4. We'll be dwelling or diving deeper into that, but allow me to play you this clip explaining more on what I have just told you. All right.
Power outages that have planned. William Ruto has ordered the energy ministry to move with speed and resolve the constant episodes of power outages that have plunged the country into darkness, saying they are injuring Kenya's image. Well, the directive stemming from a cabinet meeting where the president expressed concern that the outages were making Kenya unattractive for investment owing to the losses many companies have suffered. As Chemitai Goen reports, one of the issues identified as a cause for the blackouts was the overloaded transmission lines. The president directed that the lines be expanded expeditiously.
4 days after the country was yet again plunged into darkness, a third time in 3 months attracting widespread criticism.
Father, I want to thank you for this morning.
The president is pushing the energy ministry into action. During a cabinet meeting where the issue was extensively canvassed and solutions sought, the president stated that they had singled out overloaded power transmission lines as the main cause of frequent power losses, ordering the energy ministry to quickly resolve the matter, which was putting the country to shame. Following Sunday's blackout, the
Stretched. Instead of carrying the normal 80 megs it was carrying 149, and it gave way. When it gave way, power was trying to get an alternative route back to where it is needed, and that is what caused the cascade of events that led to the national blackout.
In the cabinet brief, the president stated that the transmission lines needed to be unbundled so that loss of power in one of the lines does not affect other regions.
The ministry had realized that we need to complete a missing link because we have a line from Olkaria to Narok, and realized the other route that had taken you all the way to Bomet. So between Narok and Bomet, 81 kilometers, we don't have a link. So, and this is a shorter route that will ensure you push power, adequate power, to the South Rift region, to the South Nyanza region, and ensure that we have adequate power stability around that area.
To address the matter, through financial support from the Africa Development Bank AFDB, the Bomet Narok Power Transmission Line will be built to the tune of 37.5 billion shillings, an agreement that will be signed next week.
We are hoping that by Tuesday, because we are trying to accelerate, we are hoping by Tuesday that we can sign the loan to be effective, and thereafter, KETRACO can advertise for bidders to come on board and help us construct those lines. At the same time, we are appealing to NLC to clear the pathway in terms of wave acquisition. They gazette the pathway such that KETRACO can now write to all the landowners along the pathway. They be compensated adequately by February. Then by March, we start the construction of that line. We are hoping to get a good contractor. And between March and January 2025, we should have completed.
Admitting that many parts of the South Rift and Nyanza were grappling with an unstable power supply, yet some of those regions have industries that contribute to boosting the country's economy. PS Washira said with further funding, they will be able to address the matter fully in the coming years.
What will that do to the South Rift and South Nyanza? Power stability, adequate power evacuation, reduction of power losses, and reloading the Kisumu Moroni Chemosit line. Currently, we are pushing a lot of power to Kisumu. But when it gets to Kisumu, we have to get ways of getting it out. And to give a clear illustration, it's just like when you have adequate pump water storage, but you are using a 1-inch pipe for you to feed 10,000 people. It will not be possible. So you have to increase the capacity of the pipe so that the water is able to flow. It's the same challenge that we have.
The line, which was funded in 2016, has not been built due to legal disputes. Further, the government has also secured an 8.55 billion shillings funding for the Kengen solar power project at the Seven Forks Dam, which will also serve as a backup in case of power outage. The 42 megawatts project has been kitted with battery storage, and when power fails, the storage energy kicks in. The project will also help to save hydropower at the 5 dams that make up the Seven Forks.
All right, all right. Now with me is Bwana Alex, the Honorable. We are about to discuss this and many other issues affecting us as at now. Now, Bwana Alex, I would allow you to greet the many watching us.
Thank you, Mr. Jax, and thank you, the viewers and those who are listening to us in regard to what we are going to have a
Mm-hmm.
conversation or a dialogue. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Now we are about to discuss this topic and try to make sense of what is happening in our country. Now let me ask you this. I think you have listened to the PS trying to explain more on what is happening in as far as this power failure is concerned. Now, the president yesterday called an urgent meeting, and 66 billion there or so was allocated to help fight these power outages. Now, I have listened to him, and some of these things make me ask this question. And this is the first question I want to pose to you. um, when was electricity installed in Kenya, or when did we first talk of electricity? That it is now that we have realized we have a small, if I may use his words, or small storage capacity, or our system cannot handle huge any overloads. Is it now that we have learned this, or it is a problem we have been having, but someone somewhere has been sleeping on his job, hence it is now that it's affecting us? Why this problem now? Why not in previous regime? What could be explaining this kind of outages from where you sit, Bwana Mkubwa?
Thank you, Jax, for that pertinent question. It's a
Mhm,
vibrant question because we must have a robust debate about
mhm,
what has happened to our country 3 times within 1
mhm,
year. And the reason we
mhm,
are doing that is these power outages seems to be intentional from where I
mhm,
see, because
mhm,
power and energy,
mhm,
electricity energy in itself
Mm-hmm.
is vital
Mm-hmm.
for the survival of the economy. It's
Mm-hmm.
vital for the survival.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
Mm-hmm.
once you start doing that, you affect the
Mm-hmm.
general economy. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you posed a good question, but before that,
Mm-hmm.
what we ought to ask ourselves is one:
Mm-hmm.
uh, who is the Minister for Energy?
Mm-hmm.
What does he know about that?
Mm-hmm.
Why has this happened to him 3 times within a year?
Mm-hmm.
Because you cannot whip a problem that is starting. Is it
Mm-hmm.
an existential problem, or is it, you know, a problem that is starting? Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is what they have created. They have created
Mm-hmm.
a situation whereby they want to
Mm-hmm.
liberalize the
Mm-hmm.
energy sector. And
Uh-huh.
liberalization of the energy sector, you can go to Google and see how countries that liberalize the energy sector have had
Mm-hmm.
total problems throughout
Mm-hmm.
in their capacity to build a nation or the statehood. One of them
Mm-hmm.
is ESCOM in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is Nigeria, which produces one of the most refined oil in the world. You know,
Okay.
the Nigeria oil is one of the most refined. It doesn't need to go through fracking or all this nonsense that others like US will go through in order to produce it. It is so refined that in the delta
Mm-hmm.
unaitoa tu na unaweza weka tu kwa nini kwa gari. Now, but there are constant energy problems. So now the question is,
Mm-hmm.
why? Why were those countries
Okay.
or are these countries experiencing this? It's because the colonial powers realize the potentiality of these countries, and therefore they start doing what? Sabotaging them. So the question is, who is
Mm-hmm.
sabotaging Kenya in terms of
Mm-hmm.
electricity? And it comes hand in hand when
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Jakes, when we are talking about
Mm-hmm.
parastatals, the state parastatals being given to the foreigners, they say
Mm-hmm.
they are selling them, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
Kenyans who are buying them. It's the foreigners who are going to buy them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and therefore they become multinationals. Now,
Mm-hmm.
for
Okay.
me, is it a
Mm-hmm.
conduit? Is it a face to tell us that Kenya Kenya power is unable to govern itself, and therefore we must give it to somebody else? I think that is a script that is being run,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because and you see,
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Hamisi, who is an MP, wrote something that was
Mm-hmm.
quite interesting. He said, these electric power outages, all of them have happened
Mm-hmm.
Saturday and Sunday. Why not Monday?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So my take is this: we, we are sabotaging ourselves in order to maximize our ability to
Mm-hmm.
say that we are not able to handle our parastatal and hand them over to the foreigner. Thank you,
Mm-hmm.
Jeff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, it's interesting that Churchill came out during his vetting. He came out to sound knowledgeable, to really know what the kind of job he's doing. Some of these things coming out now were never mentioned then. Some of this coming out, some of these issues coming out, we have had other previous CSs. They didn't mention it, but now it has been mentioned, and it has happened in this just 1 year. It has happened 3 times in a span of 4 months. Um, from where you sit, could it be generated from a source so as to justify some spending, because 66 billion will be used to rectify that mess? Could it be human sabotage so as to explain the 66 billion?
You see, uh, Jex, first and foremost, you need to understand how money should be
Mm-hmm.
allocated. Emergency money should be allocated.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to
Okay.
go through vetting in parliament, and an urgent committee needs to be formed,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a process that goes
Mm-hmm.
for funding to happen like that. It's like it's it's
Mm-hmm.
recurrent expenditure. Okay, But what the Ruto
Yeah, yeah.
administration is doing is against the constitution. And I wish
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kenya River was here so that we can re-educate him on that constitution again. Because what is happening, you don't just allocate
Mm-hmm.
money of that grave might. You
Mm-hmm.
see, now we have gotten
Mm-hmm.
to a point whereby Jakes, billions are useless
Mm-hmm.
because you hear every time billion, billion.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be when you are a billionaire, you are a
Mm-hmm.
respected person. But you hear Murkomen
Mm-hmm.
taking a what? A bribe of 100 million US dollars. So when you convert that
Mm-hmm.
to Kenya shilling, that's just one bribe. We don't know how much it took. So this 66
Mm-hmm.
billion that we are being told might be part
Mm-hmm.
of that money of one. I'm connecting the dots to form the line, the straight line. It looks
Yeah, yeah.
like it's not even it's not corruption anymore. It's looting
Mm-hmm.
en masse
Mm-hmm.
looting of the economy. How
Mm-hmm.
do you explain
Mm-hmm.
66 billion? 66 billion
Mm-hmm.
can pay. You know what can 66 billion do? It can pay for all hospitals in Kenya. Nobody is
Mm-hmm.
supposed to pay what
Mm-hmm.
the bills. It can pay all school fees for all students in all universities, primary schools,
Mm-hmm.
secondary schools, and university, and still remain for us to use them. So 66 billion is not a walk in the park.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody just decides that they are going to give 66 billion, we ought to
Mm-hmm.
question that. But we can't question because
Mm-hmm.
lately billions have become useless. People are stealing to the to the core of 500 billion or half a trillion, Mr. Jacks. Can
Mm-hmm.
you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I see it as a trend. Let's go back kidogo before we come back to these stories of the power blackout. Um, it happened that KCP results were released, and then after they were released, they equally said that no, it was mad with issues. It was mad with issues, and somehow they came out and said, now we think we are going to channel one way of sending these results. Could it be a script? We are now we should now by now learn that they create a non-existing problem. Like they were at rush to release the KCPE results, only for it to be a national disaster in terms of kids from school received results that were not theirs, results that were not good, and somehow the ministry was mad with a lot of that, in as far as why rush only to give something that was not genuine. And then later on they were told to explain themselves. They said, now we are going to change that, we are going to bring another system, and maybe even that system will cost more billions, right? Here comes another situation where power or steamer inapotea too frequently. Could it also be another script? Because it's interesting that whenever this happens, billions will be mentioned. Maybe you're asking, and I agree with you. Maybe the word billion is the new talk in town. We were used to millionaires. Now we should be used to, as Kenyans, to billionaires, because you remember even COVID, the amount that was looted was not millions, it was billions. We ended up having COVID billionaires through these power outages. Probably could we be headed to having steamer billionaires?
Not could we be ended? We are already there, Jax.
Mm-hmm.
You see, some things we are late on the ground without knowing what will happen. Remember
Mm-hmm.
what happened to NYS, that scandal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Remember every scandal that happened in 2013 to 2017, the buck
Mm-hmm.
felt at the DP's office, the deputy
Mm-hmm.
president's office. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a guy who has the art and science of corruption. And when I use
Mm-hmm.
the art and science, is the science part of it is very complicated that you
Mm-hmm.
cannot even know that the guy is corrupt. The art of
Mm-hmm.
it is what we are discussing here. So there are
Mm-hmm.
things we don't even know. For instance,
Mm-hmm.
look at
Mm-hmm.
how how the military operates. One person who used to be very vocal was Duale. The guy has gone completely silent. Why? Because these people are looting. They are not even stealing. They are looting. Do you know what looting is? Is taking money and completely, it's like an odious debt. You take all the money and you put a debt on where money was supposed to be. So in the national treasury, this money you are hearing that billions of money being taken by given to KPLC, it is not going directly to KPLC. It's going to the stakeholders of KPLC. Now the question happens: who is the largest KPLC holder? It's Ndindi Nyoro. But does really Ndindi Nyoro owns those stocks, or he is holding it in proxy for somebody? He's holding it from proxy for somebody. And who is that? William Samoei Ruto. So Ruto is awarding himself money in a proxy way. And nobody, not even parliament, is ready to criticize that. And it's telling that our parliament, our judiciary, our courts, even our former People's Court, which was like, let's say, me and you talking about issues and making sure that reprimandation is given. We have all gone silent because we have given up. Yeah. Yes.
Now, let me ask you this question, and I chose to ask you because it is causing some heads to roll. When the former president was in office, the prices of electricity were slightly bearable. Now, after this regime came into power, now 1 unit of uh, of electricity, if you are using token, before it was around, if you send 100 shillings, you are given 22 units. Yeah, for 100 shillings you'd get around 22, 23, at times even 24 units. Now when Ruto came to power, the units change from 22 point something to 3.5, 3.6 per 100 shillings. Even before I go to the details, Apochini, what explains this drastic reduction? And still, Kenya Power will complain of losses, and such outages will cost us billions of shillings.
No, Jex, you've made a very good comment there. In a chronological way, you have explained how the previous regime, in comparison to the present regime, ended up increasing electricity in a way that has never been increased anywhere in the world. Let me give you some few statistics. In running of a company, the maximum amount of electric bills that a company should run is 35%, and that is too high. Kenya, we are running at 40%, which means we are investors unfriendly. Now, then you ask yourself, how did we get here from a regime change? It is incompetency of William Samoei Ruto, whereby he awarded cronies seats, and these are people who are looters, and they have been known to be looters before. I didn't think that somebody like Murkomen could get where he has gotten today, whereby he puts on a T-shirt of 75,000 Kenya shillings. I never knew, because he looked like a person who came from a humble background. But look, Mr. Jex, we have a situation in the country where these people have refused to serve the people of the Republic of Kenya. They are serving their wives, their children, and to a point whereby we are finding ourselves with bills that you cannot even surmount in addition, or you cannot even calculate. Now, 66 billion, when you take 66 billion and you put them on the road, that's from Kiti until Nairobi, na bado zibaki ziende mpaka Machakos. Unaelewa? Hiyo sio pesa kidogo.
Mhm.
So
Ukizipanga
what I'm saying,
chini noti moja moja.
yeah. So
Mhm.
these people, it
Mhm.
looks like when they were campaigning, they must have
Mhm.
stolen or they must have asked debts that were so much that they are still trying to pay back their
Mhm.
people who made them come to power.
Mhm.
That is the only way you can explain it.
Mhm.
Because you ask yourself,
Mhm.
where are they taking all this money? Even if you're greedy jakes. Eh? Unajua kuna tamaa
Mhm.
ingine you cannot explain. Hii tamaa
Yeah.
ya pili kwanza imeenda juu sana. If you look at
Mhm.
1 year, Ruto has
Mhm.
traveled 46 times.
Mhm.
More than Uhuru traveled, Kibaki traveled, Magufuli traveled, and Museveni traveled. More than.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you ask yourself, what is wrong with this government? I think
Mhm.
the people who put them in power must have used a
Mhm.
lot of money in making sure that these people got
Mhm.
into power. And these people are trying to pay
Mhm.
back the money. That is the only explanation I can.
Mhm.
Because you ask yourself, where is the money going to? Hata kama uko na tamaa bwana.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nini barabara
Mhm.
ilifanya nini? Imeharibika wakati wa maandamano. Poop, billions. Kitu fulani. Poop, billions. Okay?
Mhm.
Poop, billions. Where is the money going to?
Mhm.
It's unexplainable. Yes.
Mhm.
I see a visitor here. Huyo ni Mr. G ama?
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, Mr. G, I don't know if you are now okay from where you are. Mr. G, can you hear us?
Yes, Mr. Jackson and Mr. Alex, I can hear you guys. Although mali niko bado niko busy kiasi, kuna makelele mingi, but I can hear you guys, and I think I
Aha.
enjoy the discussion as you are talking. I
Mhm.
think you should just continue kwa sababu mali niko sitaongea sana, but there's something that
Mhm.
I wanted to contribute as we continue. There's something that you are
Mhm.
talking about concerning this guy
Mhm.
called Chiriche. I don't know
Mhm.
if you guys remember way back before I was sacked. It was I think 2015. The
Yeah, yeah.
allegation before we sacked, allegation
Mhm.
before we sacked ilikuwa that he opened an account kwa kampuni fulani, and the purpose
Mhm.
of that company, it was just to
Mhm.
receive money from two companies ambazo zilikuwa zimetengenezea. I think one was hiyo company inaitwa something wing something, ile tumesahau hiyo jina, but there's a company that he formed, and their
Mhm.
purpose of that company was just to receive money, the corrupt money from those two companies. So maybe kama unakumbuka hiyo story, mnaweza ongelea nikiwasikiza, kwa sababu niko si pazuri sana kwa kuongea.
Mhm. Okay, I'll be getting the story for you just now. But Alex, the person Chilchil was described as the worst performing cabinet secretary, with coming out with around 19%. He was the least. In fact, Kenyans were complaining about him, but the president won't fire him. What do you think could be the reason why it has to be Churchill, it has to be him and no one else, even when the country is
Yeah,
complaining
yeah,
about him?
Mr. Jax, uh, if
Hmm.
if you look clearly from where I sit, Ruto is running his government. Moi ran his government. And Jax, you are old enough to remember who was the Minister for Energy for a very long time in Kenya. You remember that?
Hmm.
That was Mr.
Hmm.
Before. Okay? And the energy
Hmm.
sector has been
Hmm.
used as a conduit to immerse people into power. Unfortunately, Raila has been a victim too. When he entered the new Kano operation, when he put the
Hmm.
flag of NDP and he entered into
Hmm.
partnership with Moi, Biwott was shipped out as the Minister for Energy, and Raila became the Minister for Energy. And that is the time Raila made
Hmm.
his money so that he could bankroll his things in 2002. Okay, so I'm not going
Hmm.
to spare Raila in this matter.
Hmm.
Why? Because we have used our energy sector as a conduit to make money. Look at
Hmm.
any minister for energy. Once before they are ministers for energy, they are very vocal. Once they
Hmm.
get that seat, they become odious, quiet,
Hmm.
and they become like cartels. I don't know if you have
Hmm.
realized that. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
because the amount of money that the Ministry of Energy has, Look at the parastatals that the Ministry of Energy has. We're talking about KPLC. We are talking about Kenya Pipeline. We are talking about KenGen. We are talking about geothermal. We are talking about windmill. These are filthy rich parastatals. That so the question you asked is, what happens to our people, Chirichiri, when he became the minister for energy? He became of a different tribe, a different culture, that he doesn't view himself as a Kenyan anymore. Why?
Okay.
The money that passes through him in a day can destroy you to a point that you don't think about Kenyans as Kenyans anymore. Thank you.
Okay. Now, Bon Alex, you remember in the last election, because now let's discuss Chichila as the person. And even before I discuss him, let's listen into Mbadi. How he described this man Chil during vetting.
We are approving a cabinet that is not so competent. We are approving a cabinet that I think the mindset of the appointing authority was not on service delivery. This is not a cabinet that is going to bring economic revolution in this country. This is not a cabinet that is going to have Kenya take off from a middle-income economy. This is a cabinet that lacks competence, integrity in many aspects. So what was informing the appointment of these members to the cabinet? If you can have Aisha Juma tasked with the responsibility of reforming our civil service, which has challenges. This is a cabinet that was a political expedient. The president has actually appointed 2027 campaign managers, regional campaign managers. The president is simply telling us that we give him a cabinet that is not going to function because he's ready to run the entire government system, machinery, and structure from State House using advisors. Otherwise, we would not have a cabinet that we have today. The cabinet is deficient in terms of academic, in terms of professional competence, in terms of experience, in terms of integrity. Many people with cases. Look at the case of Davis Churchill, Mr. Speaker. This is the same gentleman who was removed from office in 2015. Removed from office on matters of corruption. This gentleman, how many Kenyans, if you ask them today, would remember that he was holding the docket of energy? Very few, meaning he left no impact in that ministry. And then you are leaving a lady you have already appointed to the cabinet called Rebecca Miano, who has enough experience, expertise, knowledge, capacity to run the Ministry of Energy, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order from Chief Kong.
What is the point of order? It's just argument. Point of argument, wasting my time.
Mr. Speaker.
Now, sorry, that is chill for you, and they knew the kind of person he was. Sorry, Alex seems to have fallen out. But Mr. G, you had posed that question that he was fired in 2015. Now, in 2015, he was sacked because of corruption-related issues. I think the Chicken Gate and all. And now he is back, and the president seems not willing to change his cabinet. Kama uko na shida sawa, kama hauna shida sawa, lakini by the end of the day tunasonga hivi. So Alex, what do you think? This man, why is he almost impossible to replace? Is he the best we have to be the energy minister? Is he the best?
So, James, let me tell you something that many Kenyans need to understand. And I hope you also learn from this. When you decide to run for an office, you should have two kinds of people. The devils and the angels. And the devils are the one who run the government. if you look at the first term of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, he had some
Mhm.
people like Kiunjuri in the Ministry of what?
Mhm.
Agriculture for a very long time, when we had scandals after scandals after scandals of what? Mercury, sugar, ABCD, ABCD. Was the Kiunjuri the man who was doing all this? No.
Mhm.
Then he had who were angels like Matiang'i, who cracked the whip to make the country move forward in a better way.
Mhm.
We have a situation that is impossible in Kenya, whereby
Mhm.
William Samoei Ruto, who is the author and the chief priest of corruption,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
cannot keep out people like Chiriche.
Mhm.
Whatever happened in Bomas and how all
Mhm.
the results were transmitted and how Ruto was able to be
Mhm.
declared was
Mhm.
in courtesy of two people,
Mhm.
Chirchir and
Mhm.
Sholei. You need to know that.
Mhm.
Those are the
Yeah.
people who put Ruto in presidency. The
Mhm.
gadgets that Sholei was trying to get into where? Remember, these people before, they were not even in IBC. They were in Kenya Electoral Commission before.
Mhm.
So when
Mhm.
it was transformed, they were part and parcel of the people who did what? Who were in the commission of doing what? Uh, Doing some changes in it. So
Mhm.
Churchill is a courtesy of a person who has put Ruto in presidency. So now, this is my point. Churchill is actually the president of Kenya. He controls
Mhm.
Ruto in all ways.
Mhm.
Not even Murkomen. The guy is untouchable. Even if you, when you hear him talk, even last election, the guy, I don't know if he comes from the IT department or background, but the guy
Mhm.
seems to have
Mhm.
had a way of knowing how the transmission of elections was going to happen. And
Mhm.
Ruto cannot catch that kind of guy because the guy is
Mhm.
street smart. Okay?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
Churchill is not a normal person whereby you can attack or you can fire or you can decide to do what?
Mhm.
To say anything. Churchill is actually the power person in the country. I see the hand of Mr. G. Mr. G, put on your camera and say something quickly.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something on what you have spoken right now. Nilikuwa kuongezea kuwa Chirchir was in that team, the other team ilikuwa inaitwa GIIBC kitu kama hiyo. Something nimesahau jina, but he was in election, ile election nyingine the other time kama baada hajakuja kwa siasa as a CS. He was working in the in the department ya election na he knows how election are being transmitted. So Ruto kwenda kumchukua, alimchukua for one purpose, kwa kuwasaidia kwenda kwa kupata kiti, and that's why it was the person ambaye aliweka kwa kiti wakati aliingia 2013, the same Churchill that
Okay.
aliingiza kwa kiti, na
Mhm.
is the same person ambaye tena pia on 2017 pia aliwaingiza, because he worked in that department of IBC, lakini si IBC, kuna jina iko inatumika IBC, ilibadilishwa baadaye.
It was
Okay.
called
And I
Electoral
remember,
Commission of Kenya.
yeah, and I remember during those days, if you remember correctly, Raila Odinga had a problem with him even before the 2022 elections. Now, this is when it was NASA, and I want to play that clip for you where they seriously complained about him. Him just once. Now, this was in 2017, I think, thereabout. And one Raila Odinga was complaining about him even before. And you remember, even 2022, he was still a complaint issue.
Yeah, number 5 says Mr. Paul Mugo and Mr. Boniface Wamai, under instruction from the director, ICT, Mr. James Mahati, availed a memo dated 31st August 2017, the chairman's office, through your office, which memo confirmed the creation of of a username account and a password, the name of the person of IBC without my, and subsequently, this account was used to undertake over 9,934 transactions. I direct that you take immediate action against these officers and report back by close day of business today. This is what you say, that nearly 10,000 from 34 A's were altered in the servers using the password of the chairman. This, our experts found from the logs which they were given by the IBC themselves. When they refused to open the server, they gave our people the logs. And our experts were able to and find out the fact, but instead entering data in the server on the of August. That's the day before the polling. They had already started polling themselves inside it. And this continues. And that's the password number one, Mr. Chirchir. Chirchir, who was the chief agent of Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, was also posting results in this IBC server himself. So Jubilee cannot tell us about what happened in the election. They know exactly what happened here. What happened here is so criminal. That's why we're saying that these Jubilee people actually belong to jail. These are not people you...
Okay. Now, this it's interesting. Now, listening to this, it is very interesting. Here is the chief agent for Uhuru Kenyatta being David Chilchil, right? And is described to have rigged in 2017. Again, he becomes the chief agent wa, wa William Ruto. Has this guy learned or mastered the art of hiding in plain sight and rig things in election? If these allegations made by Raila Odinga are anything to go by, Mr. Alex. Alex, can you hear me?
Yeah, Jax, let me tell you something here.
Uh-huh.
Um, there are things we cannot go ahead without deconstructing them, because
Mm-hmm.
once we don't, then we give leverage to 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 the people who have done evil in our country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
2013, let's put it straight on the record, and I know many people will not agree with me. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta stole the election.
Mm-hmm.
2017, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta stole the election. Now,
Mm-hmm.
how did he steal the election? It was courtesy of this man called Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever Churchill did with during the reconstruction of Kenya Electoral Commission to IEBC, so that it could become independent. The word that was added there was only independent, which actually is not independent anymore. Churchill was part and parcel of that thing. And I'm one person who believes that the IEBC, all secrets of IEBC are in the hands of Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
Because the guy, I think he comes from the IT background, or if he doesn't, he learned how to deal with the IT department. Is the author of Vifaranga via computer, okay? Is the author of person who put Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta into the position, not the role of the presidency. If you realize, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta tried to be the president when the handshake came, tried not to be, he tried to be. But it was too late, because the inroads that Ruto had taken were created by who? Were created by Churchill. So Churchill is not a normal person that even when his own people don't like him. You know, he went to Bomet and he tried to give a speech,
Mhm.
and you saw how his people rejected him. The guy cares
Yeah, he was
nothing. He doesn't
heckled
give up.
badly.
Yeah, the guy doesn't give
Mhm.
an F. He continued to talk
Mhm.
even when nobody was listening to him. So you see,
Mhm.
there's a sense of responsibility when you're saying something and people heckle you. Then you ask yourself,
Mhm.
what have I done?
Mhm.
Then you start reforming yourself. But Churchill is not that
Mhm.
kind of person.
Mhm.
He's so used to evil, naivety, to a point that
Mhm.
he doesn't care. If you don't want to listen to him, he will still continue to talk, and he will finish
Mhm.
what he was talking, and he will say Mutadu.
Mhm.
So Churchill, if I look at Churchill as a man,
Mhm.
it reminds me of the Moi regime as Bigot, what
Mhm.
Bigot was. And Bigot was the minister for energy.
Mhm.
There are only two tribes in Kenya
Mhm.
today. Only two tribes in
Mhm.
Kenya. When they take over the
Mhm.
presidency, they don't need other tribes. They can fill the positions as they want.
Mhm.
And those are Kikuyus and Kalenjins. But if Akisi
Mhm.
Matiang'i was to become a president today, he has to poach a lot of Kikuyus
Mhm.
and Kalenjins to help him in terms of what? Security and everything. So Chirchir is a
Mhm.
man, I don't know, we need to look at the history of Chirchir, whether he was part of the Kanu regime and
Mhm.
what position that he had, because he has
Mhm.
mastered the art and science of the politics of Kanuism.
Mhm.
Uh, and Chirchir was among the people who I hear that wanted to ban KICC
Mhm.
when Kibaki took it over from what? From the Kanu party. Okay? So,
Mhm.
and Churchill is very close to Gideon Moy, if you don't know. Hmm? Do you know that? He's very close to Gideon Moy.
Mhm.
That's why
Mhm.
they've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
able to silence Gideon. You've never heard of
Mhm.
Gideon Moy anywhere. Hmm? They have been
Mhm.
able to do what? To silence him. So Churchill
Mhm.
needs to be
Mhm.
investigated by Kenyans, not by the investigating
Mhm.
agencies, by Kenyans to know
Mhm.
who is this man?
Mhm.
How did he resurface
Mhm.
from chicken gates?
Mhm.
Was that the
Mhm.
only scandal that he did, or the other multiple things this guy has done that has never come to
Mhm.
light? I'll tell
Mhm.
you that the guy, Churchill and corruption are synonymous. You can't take the word Churchill and corruption away from Churchill.
Mhm.
All these
Okay.
mega scandals that ended up in the deputy president's office were done, even the NYS were done by Churchill, not Waiguru.
Mhm.
Yes,
Mhm.
thank you.
Now, for the sake of our viewers, allow me to play the issue of the chicken gate. Of course, the ESCC tried to clear his name, and but the damages were already made. And this is a person who has been in the news not once but severally, and some of the reasons he has been in the news are not good. Listen to this one, ladies and gentlemen.
Former Kenya National Examination Council Chief Executive Officer Paul Wasanga pleaded their innocence over the Chicken Gate scandal. The two, who were summoned at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, have called for a speedy and thorough probe into the scam to bring it to a reasonable conclusion.
It was the turn of the former Kenya National Examination Council CEO Paul Wasanga and Energy Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir to answer to allegations of fraud and corruption in the Chicken Gate scandal. First up at the EACC was Wasanga, who was grilled for hours before letting in the former IEEC officer. The two maintained their innocence over the chicken.
Since NEC started in 80, they have been part with other institutions. They have also printed examinations. And when I took over as the CEO 2005, I found them, they were printing examinations for us.
Because my name could have been mentioned in name dropping. But if you have evidence to really prove, because you do know the law, if there's evidence from anywhere that can pin down whoever needs to be pinned down so that this country can move forward, that's what I'm encouraging. We cannot say because your brother was jailed and you live in the same house and you blah, 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 you are also guilty.
The Energy Cabinet Secretary, in fact, went ahead to dare anyone with evidence on the Chicken Gate scandal to present it to the Anti-Corruption Agency. Chirchir claims he has never been in contact with the directors of Smith and Usman, jailed recently in London over the scam.
Agent of possibly access me, that is evidence to Subiane Chamoto, so that we can move forward and stop occupying your headlines with things which are not in this country.
Taking cognizance of the buzz created by the Can Get Football United Kingdom, the former CEO denied demanding for kickbacks to award the United Kingdom-based printing firm tenders.
Well, all other printers were pre-qualified. We have 9 other printers which were pre-qualified, but the awarding of the tenders for Smith has been above board, where they have been. It's only that they, in the times when they have printed examinations, they have won the tender, and not that they were given free. They have won the tender.
The anti-corruption agency is probing top former IEC and NEC officials over the Chicken Gate scandal, a multi-million scandal dogged with confluence, fraud, and bribery in our tenders.
Economic
Then
trajectory has
there's this
worsened
report
this
just
year compared to last year, according to 84% of Kenyans. 87% of Kenyans say they have cut down the spending on various items due to the rising cost of living, and this is according to research done by TIFA. Food items have taken the biggest cut at 84%, but Kenyans have reduced their entertainment budget by only 8%. NTV's Sydney Chazima has more.
The government has been insisting that the country's economy has stabilized. On Tuesday, President William Ruto, in his Jamhuri Day address, remarked on the decline of the country's inflation from 9.2% last year to 6.8% in the last 6 months. But a research conducted by TIFA between the 25th of November and the 7th of December paints a picture of the path of despair due to the economic realities on the ground. According to TIFA, a supermajority of 84% of Kenyans consider current economic conditions to be worse, negating the optimism over the country's economy as portrayed in the president's speech on Jamhuri Day. And owing to economic hardship, 87% of Kenyans say they have now opted to cut their coat according to their cloth and have reduced their expenditure on several items. Food items have taken the biggest cut with 84%.
It wasn't surprising for me to read in yesterday's Nation this story. Urban hunger rises as the economy bites. And there's some very painful examples, not just of this mother, this woman, but other people in the story of how people, in many cases, they used to have 2 meals a day, they're having now only 1.
Expenditure on transport has been cut by 15%, but interestingly, Kenyans have chosen to cut their entertainment budget by only 8%. On matters governance, Kenyans interviewed by TIFA have ranked Energy CS Davis Chirchir as the worst performing cabinet secretary with a score of 19%, with the rating attributed to the fuel prices and recent countrywide blackouts that fall under his docket. Other CSs under the red line are Aisha Jumwa with 23%, Njuguna Ndungu, Zachary Njeru, and Alice Wahome both tie at 24%.
Now, Alex, that's the percentage and the performance of Chilchil. He's the least, or rather, he's the last in performance. Yet, he still won't lose his job. The country has lost billions because even before we spend the 66 billion, when power is lost, when we have serious outage, money is lost in colossal sums. How comes this person, despite all this, we are still talking of him, and he will still continue making headlines? He'll still continue making headlines. And there's another aspect you have brought of we had Biwot, now we have Chilchil. There is the chairman of Kengen. There is the PS, and they all seem to come from one tribe. Are we profiling them to the sense that they are not competent enough?
You know, Jex, there's no profiling there. your record can show it.
Mm-hmm.
And once your record shows some things, in a sense of responsibility, anyone who cares about and loves the country, they will resign.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Martha Karua and Mungatana resigning over issues uh, they could not what agree with Kibaki.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
even though they held very posh positions that were protected constitutionally, but
Mm-hmm.
looking at Chirchir, not just from the chicken gate, he was in the chicken gate scandal.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was forced to resign as a minister for energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and all these councils through the ESTC, the
Mm-hmm.
file got lost. Not that the cases were completed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so
Mm-hmm.
he is a man who has historicity of
Mm-hmm.
dubious, insidious corruption deals that
Mm-hmm.
have plunged the the country into chaos, but
Mm-hmm.
still has the mandate of William Samoei Ruto. So the
Mm-hmm.
question comes is who is the beneficiary of these corruption uh, deals that Churchill get in? Because I
Mm-hmm.
don't think Churchill, there's a book called Leaders Don't Eat Alone. In
Mm-hmm.
that book, and if you can Google and put it, people should read that book. Leaders Don't Eat Alone. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you eat alone, you're gonna go very soon.
Mm-hmm.
So who is Churchill eating with? Because these are
Mm-hmm.
mega corruption cases
Mm-hmm.
that amounts to, you know, and for the benefit of our listeners and viewers, we
Mm-hmm.
used to think of millions. We used to talk of million cases, a million money. For instance,
Mm-hmm.
Grand Regency, we used to talk of millions. Now corruptions are getting from, I swear to you, from billions now they are going to trillions. If you look at
Mm-hmm.
you will look at the trail of what will happen to these parastatus when they are going to be sold.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be talking about trillions. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
Some peoples
Mm-hmm.
in Kenya are going to be trillionaires
Mm-hmm.
very soon. Mount Kenya Foundation billionaires are not the richest people anymore. We have
Mm-hmm.
new money in the town called the new entry of money, which is Murkomen, Chirchir, this boy for CS for land. What is his name? Former
CS for
MP,
land.
former
CS
MP
for
of
land
Lang'at.
is
Correct?
Alice Wahome.
No, Corel. Corel
PS.
is PS.
PS for land. Yeah, PS for land is Nixon Coril.
Corel. Yeah. These
Mm-hmm.
people have, in 1 year, they have amassed not riches,
Mm-hmm.
wealth that can
Mm-hmm.
last in generations.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we we continue with the newspaper. The newspaper says that Ruto reads Lyot Act to the CS over embarrassing power outage. That is in page 4 of your standard, and it continues by saying that the president says that the frequent blackouts were hurting Kenya as an investment destination. He said that the government has secured 37.5 billion funding from African Development Bank. Now, that's alone therein. That's alone therein. Um, Maybe if I may ask, because I had asked, could it have a human hand in it? When this money will be asked, it will be told, we will be told that it was used to stabilize our power issues. What would happen after this regime is out of power and this money we pay it, right? And we can't really trace how it was spent because probably they will do small maintenance and then they say the entire 37.8 billion has been consumed, right? um One, don't we first need to do a thorough audit, a thorough investigation, so that we don't just do a simple repair and then explain it with the 37.5 billion? Later on, this issue reoccur again and again and again, because now we want just to justify how we are going to spend this 37 billion without doing proper investigation, because this is something now they're saying that will be reoccurring. In any case, he said that kutakuwa na power rationing just in order to survive the situation. So the 37.5 billion that has been occurred from African Development Bank, should we first use it, or first should we do an audit, a proper audit of what could be causing all these problems, so that when we are spending this money, we do a thorough job on it?
Yes, let me ask you, how long does it take you to apply for a loan and you get it? On a normal basis, let's ask ourselves.
In Kenya, at times, depending with your credit score and all, it can take even a day or several days, or a week, a month at most.
Yeah. So when a government is taking a loan, remember it's a government. It doesn't take a day.
Mm-hmm.
It's a process of signing. The minister in charge of that department, the PS, and the KRA, and the Central Bank of Kenya. Yeah, there's a process of taking a loan. So what I'm questioning is, did this take a process, or again it's looting? Because what I'm seeing, it's looting, because African Development Bank is not where you just go and get a loan right away because you had power outages. No.
And actually, it's happening on Tuesday. This coming Tuesday, they're saying it's when they're going to sign that deal.
Yeah.
So it's that fast. It
So
is that fast.
it looks like it's a script. For me, it's a script that was written, and now it's manifesting itself to us in a way, and Kenyans are not able to do what? To question. But that's not alone. That money is going into somebody's pocket. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. G, I don't know if you're still with us or if you're in a position now to speak. I wanted to ask you a question, but if you're not, I'll ask the question to Alex. Mr. G, are you there?
Yeah, just ask
Now, from where you sit, you are in Kenya with me, and you pay electricity bill, and therein a charge for maintenance. Where has that money been going? If you remember the explanation from Churchill, that some of the problems they're having is because of long standing of negligence or lack of maintenance therein. Where is the money for maintenance that it's paid every time you load your token, every time you pay your monthly bill or your weekly bill to Kenya Power? Where is that money going to? If right now we need 66 billion, yet every day, or if not every minute, a Kenyan somewhere is paying power bill. Okay, even as Mr. G is coming in, Alex, you have heard my question. Why the pain of now incurring debt, yet we
Some of the
pay
things.
bill daily?
A very good question, Mr. Jakes. When you look at how corporations are run in Kenya, and the big question should be, do these corporations have bank accounts? They should have. And how many bank accounts do they have? It should be one. But you end up having so many bank accounts. One run by the MD, one run by the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and many other people in terms of merits and protocols. So that's how money is lost. If you look at why electricity is expensive in Kenya today in terms of tokens, it's because corruption has deep-rooted itself within the system, and everybody must cut a cake of himself so that he goes with that fork home. So KPLC is unable to manage its corruption capability because the managing director, the chairman, the chief financial officer, all of them wants a cake of it. And nobody is able to save us from this scenario whereby we find ourselves in. But if it was a place that we could run KPLC very well, our tokens could be extremely cheap because if you look at the consumption of electricity in Kenya as a whole today, courtesy of Raila Kibaki government, we are ahead of many countries in the world, not even in Africa. No. Okay, so the conundrum lies whereby now electricity is expensive, yet the consumers are many. You see, the more consumers you have, the less it should do what. So the law of supply and demand now kicks in. But the problem with electricity in Kenya is that the law of supply and demand is not working. The more people use electricity, the more expensive it becomes, which is a balloon.
Okay.
Here in this country, if you don't, even when you have a fridge, okay, which runs 24/7, hatutumii makaa, sisi tunatumia electricity kufanya nini? Either gas or electricity kufanya nini? Kucook. But still, if you are single, your bill will come like $40, which is approximately 5,000 Kenya shillings. But in Kenya today, motor imekuwa expensive more than that. Now it's like you have to pay like $100 a month. I don't live in my house in Kenya, ya Kisii, ya Nakuru, ya Nairobi. But every time the electric bill comes, I'm like, what? Especially since Ruto came. The other day yangu ya Kisii imekuja 120,000. I'm like, who used this electricity? Now it's better for me even to have what? A solar that has electricity. Because it's not sustainable. So these tokens you're talking about, they end up in people's what? People's pockets. And the way
Okay.
the energy sector was structured, that it has been Kalenjanized. Ruto's brother-in-law, there was a time he had a problem with ESCC. These are the authors of some of these insidious, questionable corruption cases in KPLC. We've never had a case in KPLC resolved kabisa. Yes.
Now, despite the huge money you have paid in terms of bills and the much we pay in terms of tokens and all, KPLC will report a loss. How does that even make sense? KPLC will make loss in tunes of billions. How is that even possible?
You know, Jex, let me pause there and tell you something. Kuna utoto nyingi inaendelea Kenya. Unaelewa? Na kuna ujinga nyingi inaendelea Kenya. Na kuna uongo nyingi inaendelea Kenya. Some corporations that have monopoly, like KPLC, they have monopoly. How can they make a loss? Let's be honest. Does it make any economic sense to you? How can Kenya Airways make a loss? It's a national carrier. Not only the carrier, it does cargo, or cargo comes through it, okay, throughout the world. From China, we get almost, in a day, we get 30,000 cargos from China in a day. Okay, how does it make a loss? How does it not able, JKIA, to own backup generators that are in standard with IALA? You see, Kenya is going to be blocked by IALA if it continues this trend whereby it's joking with citizens, and the international world is watching how our airport is dealing licentiously with the Kenyan people.
Mhm.
Your
Mhm.
question is right, but the thing is,
Mhm.
KPLC, Kenya Airways,
Mhm.
Kenya Milk
Mhm.
Commission, these are companies that
Mhm.
have monopolies. They should not
Mhm.
make any
Mhm.
structural losses. Okay,
Mhm.
they can make
Mhm.
unstructural losses in terms of maybe
Mhm.
they bought more planes. They did this and this and
Mhm.
this and this. But what you look
Mhm.
at is, for example, Kenya Airways. Kenya Airways
Mhm.
has some of the best planes in the world. Do you know that? Not even KLM
Mhm.
has planes
Mhm.
like that. So
Mhm.
KPLC is lying to us that it's making a loss.
Mhm.
That money is
Now,
going to come.
now the question now begs is this: anything run by government has its leader or its chairperson of that parastatal appointed by the president. Then again, those parastatals are ranked to be loss-making institution, and that's why it is even explaining the reason why I want to sell some of these parastatals or institution or even buildings. Now, does it mean government employs incompetency, and then eventually the person who suffers is the taxpayer? Because in the long run, uh, state-owned corporations are sold, yet they were meant to benefit Monanchi to ease his life, and but the person one appointed by the government. The person who causes it to collapse is the appointee from the government. Is it that we don't appoint from a level of competence, or we just appoint just to suit a certain to pay a certain debt in terms of this person helped me campaign? He has zero experience in terms of being a chairperson of any parastatal, and then that parastatal collapse. We have had several parastatals collapse. Now we are even now talking of selling some of these parastatals. Is this a scheme from the government to drive the country down through its own mistakes, for starters? Because if it employed competent people, if it had enough proper working force, I'm sure some of these institutions would be profit making. But the story is different, that these are loss making institutions. What do you think? Is this something that is pre-planned, premeditated, and predetermined even before it happens, that institutions make losses, institutions run down, and they're run down by guys appointed by none other than the president himself?
Can you hear me, Jax?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, now, and we spoke about this not yesterday, the day before yesterday, and I think I was
Mm-hmm.
educating you what is called Peter's principle. Peter's principle is
Mm-hmm.
our observation that the tendency in most organization hierarchies, such as corporation and parastatal, for every employee to rise in the hierarchy through promotion until they reach a level of respective incompetence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in other words, Mr. Jakes, a front office secretary who is quiet, good at their job, may thus
Mm-hmm.
be promoted to executive assistant to the CEO, which they
Mm-hmm.
are not even trained or prepared
Mm-hmm.
for, meaning that the
Mm-hmm.
secretary will be more productive if they are not being promoted. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what we look at in the Peter's principle is that it is based on a paradoxical idea that
Mm-hmm.
competent employees will continue to be promoted. But at some point, this promotion into position becomes incompetence itself. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So according to the
Mm-hmm.
Peters principle, every position in given
Mm-hmm.
hierarchy will actually be
Mm-hmm.
fulfilled by employees
Mm-hmm.
who are
Mm-hmm.
incompetent of doing those jobs. And that's why people
Mm-hmm.
like Ilkir, if you ask yourself, who is most competent to become the minister for energy in William
Mm-hmm.
Samoei Ruto's government, is
Mm-hmm.
is somebody like Murkomen capable of becoming a CS, or he was promoted because of cronism? Okay, does it
Mm-hmm.
take a child to tell you that Moses Kuria does not qualify to become what? A CS?
Mm-hmm.
Does
Mm-hmm.
it take? There are people that we may hate, but at least when you look at them, you can say they
Mm-hmm.
can. Somebody like Wahome, I think that the report just did not qualify her very well. But
Mm-hmm.
Wahome, when you look at her, take politics aside, she's more competent than the the former trade secretary, who is who,
Mm.
Korea. Okay,
Mrs. Korea.
yeah. So what I'm saying is,
Mm.
what Kenya has done is that the takeaway from is the Peter's principle observes employee rights through firm hierarchy, and this is irrespective
Mhm.
of their incompetence. As a result, every position is given hierarchy will eventually be filled by employees who are incompetent to fulfill their duties of their jobs. A possible solution to the
Mhm.
problem posed by Printer is that we should know two things: capital knowledge and skill sets. You understand? So if somebody has no capital knowledge,
Mhm. Mhm.
Mr. My friend, if you have no capital knowledge and skill sets, stay away from positions
Mhm.
that affects the country.
Mhm.
Yeah?
Mhm.
But do Kenyans have that gusto to do that? They
Mhm.
don't. Corporate greediness
Mhm.
has
Mhm.
creeped to us, whereby
Mhm.
after today, you come from uh,
Mhm.
the healthcare department, ukipewa
Mhm.
inaitwa nini, energy, you want to go there, thinking that
Mhm.
energy is same as what? Healthcare.
Mhm.
That's the
Mhm.
gusto that I'm saying, that we are incapable of accepting the
Mhm.
reality that, look,
Mhm.
this is not to be. I can't serve Kenyans on this
Mhm.
level. Let me serve them on this level.
Mhm.
Yes, yes.
Mhm. Mhm. But the argument also can equally be different in this sense, if I may ask you. We have had people who had almost zero knowledge about a given department, but when they go there, they perform. Matiangi didn't have all the qualifications to be all those ministries that he ran, together with Akina CS, Cargo, and many others. My question to you is this. Some of these people are normally rejected at the ballot, either for incompetency, either for failure to deliver, either for no known record of development or achievement in the post they once occupy. But they are awarded ministerial positions that eventually they don't perform. So how is it that some people, some technocrats like Matiang'i, were able to shine in their dockets, whatever docket they were given? Some were not highly educated like Akina Mishuki, but we still remember what they brought. How come that these guys who politically they shine, politically they are so loud out there, if you give them a mic, they are gurus out there. When you give them a mic, they are masters. They know how to craft insultive words. They know how to construct very, very convincing statements. But when it comes to performance, that is where they draw a thick line. What explains that big difference?
And again, I go back to now education.
Mm-hmm.
There's an old adage
Mm-hmm.
that say the cream rises to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Then it says, by stating that the cream rises until it does what? It soars.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, excellent employees perform is inevitably promoted to the point where employees' performance is no longer excellent or even satisfactory.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the case of Matiang'i is how can I call it? It's a conundrum to Kenyans, and the reason I say
Mm-hmm.
that is when I started noticing, recognizing, and the competence of Matiang'i is after I'd hated him for a
Mm-hmm.
while. Where did
Mm-hmm.
the guy come from? Many people do
Mm-hmm.
not know that Matiang'i came from the background of teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Matiang'i was a high school teacher,
Okay.
and uh, and I'm not against other sectors, Mr. Jakes, but I'll tell you, a
Mm-hmm.
marriage of two primary school uh, teachers
Mm-hmm.
creates a powerhouse whereby the future of their children, hawa watoto watapata kazi wote, and they will be very disciplined. Two high
Mm-hmm.
school, two primary school teachers in a marriage creates a powerhouse for what? For the nation. Now, if you look at most people will not turn down a promotion, especially if it comes with greater pay and prestige, even if they know they are qualified for the position. Okay? Most people will not, even you won't turn down a promotion, especially when it comes with a greater pay and prestige. Okay? So, in other words, excellent employees are are sometimes ignored. Eh? Are sometimes ignored for the sake of what? Now, what's the solution? A possible solution to the problem posed is that companies should provide adequate skill training, and that's what I said earlier: skill sets and capital knowledge. Those are two things. Direct. It is important carefully to assess the job skills of all candidates. So Matiang'i was a case scenario whereby God gave us a leader that was able to panel through many what ministry. But there are people who perform very well. For instance, Oloaringo was an excellent. You remember Oloaringo was an excellent
Yeah.
minister for education. Once they put him somewhere else, Oloaringo uh, started started to do what? To fall down. Okay. So, now, consistent with Peter's principle, researchers have found high-performing employees are more likely to be promoted, that they also more likely to poorly become managers. So you should look at management skills. They are not the same as skill set and capital knowledge. To be a manager is totally different, and management is key to everything right now. If you can't manage your show, it's as good as dead. If you can't manage your house, it's as good as dead. If you can't manage your what, your time, it's as useless of you not to do what, to have a show. So what we are saying is that low-level workers should be looked at, because sometimes you look at only upwards people and you forget people who are extremely multi-talented, but they're in the middle. You know, so when you do that, if you continue to look at the employees on the top, you damage employees' morale, since remaining employees may resent their poor management. Okay, yeah, and this is deep economics. Okay, this deep economics of how, you know, we can corollary to the principle that brings inefficiency to ourselves. But Matiang'i's case is is an exemplary case that you cannot compare. We will not have another Matiang'i for many years to come. Yeah, we may not have
Now,
another Matiang'i for many years to come.
yeah, you brought in the issue of education and performance and all. I want to bring something that many have never asked. We have a PS for education known as Dr. Richard Bilos Kipsang. He has been a PS in that docket for many years and in many regimes. This is a person who has served Kibaki in that docket. He has served Uhuru in that docket. Now he's serving Ruto in that docket. And some of the serious allegations of exam cheating have happened when he is the CA, the PS for education. Even this dodged exam issue. Why is it that he still continues to hold office, and he still continued to enjoy security of tenure because of his docket as a permanent secretary? And the education ministry, despite it having had super CSs like Matiang'i, it it has never enjoyed good PS. Why the imbalance?
You know, Kipsang Belio is a good friend of mine. Okay, yeah, Kipsang Belio is a good friend of mine, and he comes from the background of Nairobi University, and they were good friends with Makoha ama Makoha, and he came into the Ministry of
Magoha, but they
Education.
had a fallout sometimes back.
Yeah, they did over principles whereby he felt that the guy was incompetent. But the guy came to the Ministry of Education in 2013. We're talking about 10 years later. And
No, he was first appointed on 2nd December 2002 with Kibaki. Kibaki was the first person to appoint him. He has
okay.
really been in this thing for quite some time.
And
But
I
go
think
on, go on, yeah.
he has been moved now to the Ministry of East Africa Community, isn't it?
No, he's still in education.
In February 2021, I think Kipsang was moved from Ministry of Education to Ministry of East Africa. I think that was Kibaki.
By Uhuru.
Yeah. So
yeah, they had a
now
fallout with Magoha. So to create peace, he was changed.
Yeah, the question you are asking is pertinent. Why has he survived in that ministry for so long? It's because of regime change and incompetence. Remember, Uhuru came into power with an agreement with William Samoei. If you remember, if you are a good political student, if you remember, Kulei was in Nakuru. And with Raila, they were waiting for Ruto to come and do what? Sign a political deal between him and who? And Ruto. On the way, this former Subkonya MP anaitwa Kutuny convinced Ruto to go meet who? Raila. No, convinced Ruto to meet who? Uhuru. And Kaboko has been on the record in JKIA saying how they sat down and they spoke of the deal between Ruto and who? And Uhuru. Uhuru was allowed just to be a figurehead of presidency, but the powers were to be given to who? To Ruto. Imagine 2013, that was the agreement until ndugu ya Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta told him this is not a good deal. You need to be a president and you need to do what? Have a legacy. That's when they brought in Raila so that Uhuru can deal with legacy because after all, he was the figurehead president. All those years that Ruto was under the president, it's just the name he didn't have, but the power he had. He brought in some of his cronies, okay, who will propel him to do what he wanted. And one of the reasons he put this man in there was to make sure this man has awarded him a PhD that he did not have. Okay, do you connect now the dots? Because he was a lecturer. He was a lecturer at Nairobi University. Okay, so it's Ruto who brought him, and it's the only one of the few PSS who survived the cut of Ruto after when Uhuru was firing some of his PSS, the guy survived. Okay, but it's one of the few people who made it to Ruto's what kitchen cabinet. So when I look at him overall, he's a leader who is also political. He knows how to play his politics well. Yeah.
But the question now begs is he the most competent person to hold that docket? Because he has served under the likes of Jacob Kaimenyi. You remember him? He's now an ambassador. He has served under Matiang'i. He has served under Amina Mohammed. He has served under Magoha. He's now serving under Machogu. This one man, and yet we are complaining about our education. We during Kaimenyi's time, it was easy to get the exams even on your phone. Like in 2008, I remember correctly.
I remember that very
exam
well.
leakage ilikuwa so high.
I remember that
Yeah, yeah.
morning.
Ungepata that exam kwa phone easily.
Yeah, I want to invite Leo. Leo, come
Go
to the
ahead.
conversation. Leo, please come to the conversation. We will need you maybe for 20 minutes. I might need a break.
Let
We
me
have
put.
spoken a lot.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, one of the worst working, yes, yeah, no, Minister of Education was Kaimenyi. It is during Kaimenyi's time that we had the longest running strike in the history of the world, education sector, not even in Kenya, in the whole world.
Correct.
You remember we striked for how many months? Many months. Okay?
Yeah,
And Kaimenyi will not even blink his eyes to do what? To resign and give leverage for the people of Kenya so that he can give us a break. Now, I don't know how Kaimenyi can manage to be an ambassador if he could not even manage to be a minister. An ambassadorial job. My father comes from the background of that. Ambassadorial job is a very difficult job because you're selling your country to the other country, and at the same time they vet you so that you're given credentials to do what? To serve as an ambassador. So, but it looks like Kipsang knows how to play his politics well. You know, Kalenjins have one character that I like about it. They are soft-spoken. Even if they are mad, you will never know when a Kalenjin is mad. He's soft-spoken, okay? So being soft-spoken can give you an advantage of working with the people easily. And I
Yeah,
think
because
in terms,
he has survived. He has survived these regimes, and I think not many have questioned him. Not many have made him to be the center because he needs to tell us how he has survived. And of course, maybe many are credit the NIMS, what do you call it? The National Education Management Information System, NIMS, to him, and many other things that he has achieved. But really, can we try another person? Maybe we can get some difference. Maybe we can bring sanity. Because when we changed Kaimenyi to Matiangi, we saw a revolution. Can I use that word? We saw a change, a total shift in as far as how we manage our education docket. When Amina Mohammed came in, we saw some changes. Not even to mention what Magoha did. It was exemplary. You know, the many classrooms he was able to construct, you know, and people really valued education. Now, the likes that are there, I don't want to mention names, have not left anything to smile about, or are not leaving anything to smile about. It's interesting that Billy Sang, he has survived 3 presidents, several CSs, and he's still there. Why he's still there? Your
you
guess is
know,
as good as mine. Is there anything
there was
political about it?
there was a frosty working relationship between Makoa
Mm-hmm.
and Kipsang over the running of the ministry, led and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
led to the shift in the government. And as you
Mm-hmm.
have said clearly, he has served under the CS Kaimenyi, Fred Matiang'i,
Mm-hmm.
Amina Mohammed. And I think many people do not remember Amina Mohammed was a minister for education. Many people remember Kaimenyi and Matiang'i.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the achievements that Kipsang can give himself was the establishment of National Education Management Information System. Another one was the gradual increase of
Mm-hmm.
capitation for learners in primary and secondary school. The other one was the waiver of
Mm-hmm.
examination fees. And the last one was the
Mm-hmm.
efficiency in administering national examination during
Mm-hmm.
Matiang'i and Makoha's time. But I think, as I say, his
Oh.
time is done. But some of
Mm-hmm.
the things that he failed on is the roll-up of laptops for free primary children, and he was part of the people who ate the money for the free laptops.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
his survival can tell you that there is a problem. There is a problem in the
Mm-hmm.
ministry.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a problem in the Ministry of what? Of Education, whereby some PSS remain there. And the reason they remain is because of the corruption, mega corruption. Remember, and I don't know if you know, let me Google this so that I can give you the right information. Money per year, Ministry of Education, Kenya.
Now, this time round, it was increased to 650 billion.
In 2020 to 2021, the national budget announcement, the education sector was allocated almost 500 billion. That is 4.4. That's how much? 4.4 what? Billion US dollars. 26.7% of the national budget. That is what I wanted to let you know. Now, for it's a serious question that we have survived, whereby that money is being given per year of 500 billion. So you can see that this was a real funder for Ruto's president. Umeelewa? This person has accumulated so much money. And you know, Kalenjins, our Kalenjins are funny. And nani captain asiniue tafadhali. Captain, if you are here, kuwa mpole kwangu. Kalenjins hawajui kukamua ng'ombe. Kikuyu wanakamua, wanaachia ndama ya kukunywa. Kalenjins wakipewa ng'ombe wakamue, ni damu inatoka. Unaelewa? So it tells you the amount of money this guy has done what? Has embezzled under the Ministry of Education to a point that he can single-handedly fund William Samoei Ruto to become the president. That man is not even rich; he's filthy wealthy. Yeah, and that's the reason for his survival. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Now let's look at the Daily Nation even as we near wrapping up before Leo comes in. The Daily Nation, this is what it had as its headline, that Paul suggests that hustler are the most dissatisfied. You remember the narrative that this regime sold to many, it was about the hustler narrative. It was the narrative of where they chose to speak of the common man, mama wa mboga, mwananchi ule mdogo, mtu wa bodaboda, the small guy, that's the narrative they sold. And many believed that it was their time to come from the bottom, from the very bottom to the top. That was what they were told. They were told it will be a regime where pesa inatolewa mahali ingekuwa iko iwekwe mfukoni. It was a regime that believed that kazi ni kazi. But now, after the hustler did their part in voting and in electing and in selling him to the presidency, according to Tifa, the hustler nation is the most dissatisfied. From where you sit, Mr. Alex, do you agree with this heading, with this opinion poll from Tifa, that hustlers right now are the most dissatisfied, and of course, they are the ones seriously complaining?
Yes, this is a very sad question, and a case in study of political expediency where people took advantage of other people. When you look at the name hustler, it was William Samoei Ruto taking advantage of people who are not informed. Okay, in terms of capability to think and the capacity to make decisions. So when you look at the whole hustler nation in terms of percentage, not totally all of them were incapable to make decisions, but most of them walijaribu kuambiwa, look, you are being used as a conduit for this person to get into power. Thereafter, these things that remember even what Matiang'i said, these things this man is promising, they are not practical. They have run a government and they know that some of the things
Mhm.
this guy is talking about,
Mhm.
they are not practical. But these people believed those things, which has come to hurt them seriously on the basis of truth.
Mhm.
Mhm. So what I'm saying is this: we need to help these
Mhm.
people come back
Mhm.
to their senses, Mr. Jakes, okay? So as we can know how an economy is run, how money operates
Mhm.
within what? Within the prefects of
Mhm.
ministries. All these things they were lied to of hustler
Mhm.
funds, those were nonsense. When you want
Mhm.
to empower people, you don't give them money. You give them the means of production. Okay?
Mhm.
You empower the means of production because production is what actually sustains what? A country.
Yeah.
So for them to say they are dissatisfied with what? Lies.
Mhm.
They are dissatisfied with lies. They bought
Mhm.
lies. Why should they be satisfied? Dissatisfied.
Mhm.
You know, just if I lie to you and you buy my lie, anything in the
Mhm.
basis of a lie, you
Mhm.
shouldn't be satisfied,
Mhm.
dissatisfied. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed. So let's take a poll of how many
Mhm.
hustlers are ashamed of their decision. That is the day I will be happy. Or what do you think?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm still doubting Leo.
I agree with you that
Leo will be
if we had
tired
a
of
figure,
talking to all of us.
yeah, if they told us that these are the number of guys who are disappointed, it would. And now, listen, look at this. This is even interesting. Eh? This is the heading. They say that hustlers are the most dissatisfied. Eh? But when you go down Apple their polls, they say that UDA is the most popular political party. That despite hustlers
What is
complaining that
UDS?
at
Now,
31%, UDA, the ruling party. So how do you
you
even
see, that
connect
is
those two?
now that is the purest lie I've ever heard. That
Mhm.
UDA is the most popular party in Kenya.
Mhm.
That's the most
Mhm.
evidently. It's the worst lie that you can lie to Kenya right now. If
That
let's take for
Wiper
instance,
Wiper is at 1%, Ford Kenya at 1%, Kanu at 1%. Of course, others they play at
they
2%.
are
Now,
running a script. That
the
is
most
Malala.
interesting
That is
part is
Malala's.
Chama cha Mashinani ya Moses Kuria is at 2%, Jubilee at 4%, and of course ODM coming in second at 22%.
So that pool,
UDA
you
leading
see,
at that one. Mm,
Dex, there are two
mm,
kinds of pools,
mhm,
and and I came to know this when this Somali guy who ran for Kamukunji seat. This guy who has
mhm.
been used to work for the UN. What was his name? He got an accident sometimes back and he was incapacitated for a while. He used to work. He used to be a journalist. Then he went. What was his name? That is the time I knew that we have two
Yeah,
kinds of
he has an Hussein. Is it
Suleiman
That
or
Hussein?
is
something like that.
Yusuf Hussein,
Yusuf.
the Kamkunji MP, the longest serving Kamkunji MP.
Yes, Yusuf. Now, thank you, Leo. That's why I
Yusuf
needed
something,
him
yes.
here. And when
Hussein, yes.
when you are here, we have a very good conversation. So when
Abi,
Yusuf
yeah,
was
he's called Abi Yusuf
remember,
Hussein. Mhm,
yeah, remember when
mhm,
Yusuf was running, that seat was postponed like 12 times. You remember when he was first running? Because we used to have another
mhm,
Somali alikuwa anatembea na ngamia who was supposed to win
mhm.
mwenye alikuwa the ODM guy. You remember that?
Yeah.
So the Kibaki administration postponed that running seat 12 times so that they can strategize. And all that was through the
Mhm,
military pool, okay? That was telling you the truth core. No matter what, this is an ODM seat.
mhm,
Postponed it, pea Msomalia hii kitu, msipeane Mkikuyu, that's, you can win it. Now, what happened was, at that particular time, I started knowing that we have two pools in Kenya. We have political pools. Jakes, don't toa hiyo dini yako. Weka tuongee. We have military pools.
I mean, I'm coming. Na kunywa some water. I'm coming.
Yeah, so we have military pool and we have political pool. So hii yenye tunaonyeshwa ati hustlers are the most dissatisfied, this is political pool yenye nitakada tu yani kuonyesha watu, oh, I know you are dissatisfied ABCD, but you know we will do something. But the real military pool will tell you that These people are not dissatisfied. They are ashamed of the decision they made. And they are ashamed that they voted a man who is the man who is doing what? Who is hurting them right now. Welcome, Mr. Leo.
Thank you so much. You know, I just joined. I don't know where you people are, but I can see you are looking at the polls. Well, some of these polls, they've really become hard for Kenyans to believe. Like, we don't know which polls are true, which ones are not true, who was interviewed. I think they normally, after getting the real polls, they normally sit somewhere and now try to come up with I think they do some changes in these polls so that they can be able to achieve some goals. Because obviously these polls are not just done for free. There's some cost incurred in it. And for people to do these polls, they have got some intentions. So the real polls that I saw, people, you cannot tell me that UDA is the most popular party. Then at the same time, you tell me that hustlers, who are majority of people who are associated with Jubilee, UDA, are the people who are most dissatisfied with the government. So it doesn't add up. These things do not add up. But if the polls are something to go by, you'll find that Kenyans are really tired. People are really dissatisfied. People are really regretting the action that they did, or maybe some of the things that they did when they were voting. It is just that they have nothing that they can do about it. But they are really regretting their actions and really thinking that if they would be given a time to correct, then they will be able to make some corrections and maybe vote otherwise or do make some changes. Because now some are just silently maybe suffering. They don't want to shout. Watu wamejua tu wewe ulipigia UDA. So when you come out complaining, you feel ashamed. So to avoid and maybe hide away from that shame, that is why you see people are just silently suffering in their houses. They know very well deep inside they are hurting, but there's nothing they can do. There's also that pride. Wewe umefanya makosa, but you don't want people to parade you to say that, you see, this guy voted for UDA and he's the one who is complaining. So that's the situation that we are in this country right now. Unless something is done, of which I don't see anything being done. The cabinet that we are having, I don't think there is somebody who can do anything extraordinary. We cannot have people who can go out of their way like the Matiangis and Magoha, who will tell you that they saw an oath and they have to protect that oath. So whether you are the president or who you are, they have to work for their integrity. So the people we have in the cabinet right now, Alex, you'll agree with me that there's nobody who is having integrity to protect. They are politicians and they're people with they don't have some names that they want to protect. So they're just there waiting for their tenure to end so that they can go on with their own businesses. Or have you ever seen anybody in that cabinet that you can single-handedly point and say, okay, this person is really doing something different? No one. I saw that people voted Kithure Kindiki the top performing. Yeah, Kindiki is a great man, but he was given a wrong docket. I think he was just misplaced, and it was done intentionally so that he doesn't shine, or so that he doesn't maybe be seen to be more powerful or more clever than he is the appointing authority. That is what I can say for now. Jax, back to you.
And when you talk of Kindiki being not given the correct docket, many had wished him to be the one to be the running mate. Many hoped he would be picked from the looks of things. Even time has it vindicated those who wished him to be the deputy president, or Rigathi Gachagua now has come out to really be the one who was the better fit for William Ruto? Given that even now Kindiki still performs better, what do you think?
I think time has vindicated people, those people who wished for Kindiki to be the running mate. Right now, they can say that they can comfortably celebrate that had their wish been granted, things will be different. Kindiki, despite being a member of UD and Kenya Kwanza, there are some decisions that he makes as Kindiki. There are some decisions that he makes that can allow you see some professionalism in him. So what Gachagua is doing, people really have to regret that. But I know William Ruto is not regretting. Not that he didn't know what he was doing. William Ruto did not want a deputy president like himself. He knows what he did as a deputy president. He knows the pressure and the effects that he had. So he did not want a stubborn deputy president. He wanted a deputy president who will be opposite of himself, a deputy president who will not make decisions, a deputy president who will tell you that, okay, despite the fact that the constitution has allocated me some roles to perform, me, I'll allocate myself some roles. I feel I cannot perform the ones allocated by the constitution. So me, my roles will be to take care of coffee, to run and jog as I do some coffee and milk reforms and such kind of things. So that is what William Ruto wanted. He wanted a deputy president that he will control. And for those people who don't know, William Ruto is a great politician and he obeys every law of power. He really follows it to the latter. He knows very well that if you are the king, you have to ensure that those around you are not superior than you. At least people will have to see some leadership in them and despise you. So what happens? You must be the brightest person in that room. The people around you, if they are not fools, then they must appear to be fools. People should see them as people who are not that intelligent. So you must be the most intelligent. And when I was coming, I heard Alex talking about how he earned the PhD. You see, look at how these kind of maybe MPs who are psychopathically following him try to address him. They must always stress on the word Dr. William Ruto. Why are they doing so? They're trying to show him that, no, you're the king. You're the most intelligent. So everything that you say we'll have to agree with. That is what is happening. He doesn't want to be challenged.
Now, the most ironical part is William Ruto has traversed over 44 countries. Now, if the in report is anything to go by, Kindiki ever since he was appointed, he has never left the country. Unlike any other minister, he has been there. He has been in our country throughout. He has gone to places affected by floods. He has gone to places where there have been mass murdering, like Shakahol. He has been all over. Is he the one running the country literally? Because the president has been out 44 times. He has never been out even once ever since he was appointed. What do you think it makes about him? And is he like leading the government, but behind the silent corners?
You know, Jakes, there's no way you can lead the government behind the silent corners. So these are some of the stories that we were being told by those people who are following William Ruto. They're the ones who used to tell us how William Ruto is the one running the government. Uhuru Kenyatta is not running the government. So running the government, you must be seen running the government. We must feel you. So we don't see Kindiki running the government. We don't see Kindiki making decisions. We don't see Kindiki responding to matters affecting the government. So how is he running the government behind the scenes? Even if the economic advisors like David Dees, who are supposed to be running the government on the background, are not doing so. So how is Kindiki doing that? Kindiki is just minding his own business. When you find yourself in some dirty water and you don't want to dirtify yourself, you look for some corners where there may be some clean waters, then you relax there and watch what is taking place. So I don't think Kindiki is running the government. William Ruto is running the government when he is in the country and while abroad. So that is why he makes the decisions. And that is why there's some blunders that happen when he is away, because when he's away, everybody is waiting for him to come back. So those few days that you see him coming back, that is when the cabinet will have to be called and so on and so forth. We are told that Musalia Mudavadi is the head of the, is the prefect of the cabinet secretaries. He is the prime or the chief cabinet secretary. So if you're the prime cabinet secretary, you have the responsibility of calling the cabinet. You don't need to wait for the president. That is what the principals do. They have the responsibility of holding such meetings. So this one doesn't happen. I've never seen this deputy president Gachagua chairing a cabinet meeting when Ruto is not there. So Ruto is the one who is running the government remotely. He's using a remote control. So when he is away, they'll have to wait for him to make decisions. So, and maybe some few, we had some time we were told we're having one government approach by this CS Health Nakumicha. I don't know what happened to that one government approach. So there is no way you can tell me Kindiki is running the government. The government is being run by William Ruto. All the decisions that you see comes from him. He is the one who decides what is going to happen and what is not going to happen. And that is why when something happens, you see people are quick to call him. They are calling him because they know the responsibility. He's taken all the responsibility. Even if there's no electricity at the airport, they have to call him.
Now, Alex, same question. Why is it that Kindiki is performing so well? He has never missed anything that happens to our country.
No,
And
Jax,
according to
in
the
that
report,
performance so well, maybe as you're asking
Mhm.
Alex, I don't think Kindiki is performing so well. You know, this kind of some of these polls that they normally do, it's normally based on opinion. And that is why the simplest thing that you can do is to appear to be working. Actually, you're not working. Go to Homa Bay. Their governor, not that their governor is working more than any other governor in this country. But what happens is that the governor is appearing to be working. Very early in the morning, you'll see her live in the lake greeting the fishermen. After 2 hours, you'll see her live in the market trying to do the work of ganjo, collecting some taxes. Next, in the afternoon, you'll see her kicking the ball in the stadium. So that is what Kenyans want to see. They want busy bodies. They want to see you working. So what made people think that Kindiki is working when he used to make some rounds in the Nyayo house telling people the passports will be ready, passports will be ready. Nowadays, he doesn't go there because he found out that this is impossible. All this kind of PRs doesn't work. So as far as work is concerned, some of these people are not working. The only thing is that they're having some better PR. They're having some better public relations that people can be able to, see, this person is working. When in real sense, they're not working. The same thing was used in Machakos, and everybody in Kenya was duped and thought that Machakos was really growing and was going to become the next Dubai. Go to Machakos today, you'll realize that everything that was there, it was just people who are some busybodies who appeared to be working, and yet they were not doing anything. And currently, I can say the same thing is also happening in Homa Bay. Maybe in the next few years or in 10 years is when people will realize that there's a difference between working and appearing to be working. We never see Kibaki even going to launch this kind of things. We were just seeing roads. We were just seeing things happening. We were just seeing hospitals. But never did we see maybe, ndio hiyo TV, Kibaki is live doing this. So there is nothing like working there.
What of the fact that he hasn't traveled to any country?
He hasn't traveled to any country because he's the Minister of Interior. Interior means within the country. He's not the Minister of Exterior. He doesn't have any business to go and do outside the country. With him, he's supposed to control our borders within, not outside. He's just in charge of the internal affairs of the country. So his role is to ensure that we're having police officers in each and every corner, and the security within the country is secure. He doesn't need to go and talk to Museveni. If maybe people are attacking us from outside, then that is the role of Adan Duale, who is in charge of our external borders. So his role, if you look at his job description, there is nowhere that he is involved with some external forces, unless he did some loans to go and buy maybe some infrastructural development, but he doesn't need to go outside. Actually, his roles just as the title, the Minister of Interior. So he's an interior man. He doesn't need to go outside. He doesn't need to go and meet the Ugandan counterparts, or to go and meet the South African counterparts. For what reason? So, and that is why people are complaining when we were told that our police are the ones that are going to be sent to Haiti, which is wrong. Our police are supposed to be protecting us within the country. So when it comes to going to Haiti and such kind of things, then we need to send the army. They're the ones who can deal with some external affairs. So Kindiki, being an interior man, should just remain within the country and manage his business within the country. So he doesn't have any business going outside the country. That is why you might see that he's not leaving the country, which is true. he is the interior cabinet secretary. His role is to take care of our internal affairs. He doesn't have any duty outside the country.
Okay.
So the
Now,
ones you see, unless he just decide to become maybe a tourist, you want to go on a tour, but he doesn't have any role outside the country.
okay. Then you have said he is not qualified to be the best. Then is
No, I've not said
Churchill
he's not
qualified to
qualified.
be the least
I've not said
performing?
he's not qualified. He is really performing, but among these cabinets, the percentage that he was
Uh-huh.
getting, this
Uh-huh.
percentage was fueled by
Uh-huh.
the PR stunt that he staged. That is what made people think that he is working. You're getting that. So that is not that he's
Yeah.
working that much, but at least people
Mhm.
could say that okay, he's working. Or we saw him at Nyai House. He's the best among the list.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what of Churchill? Is he the least performing CS?
Oh, Chirchir has been rated the least performing, but in real sense, I don't think he should be the least performing. Oh, he's having his weaknesses. We've had challenges in that ministry, and some of these challenges are challenges that have been inherited. And it is the solution to the power in the country is not about Chirchir or giving another person. The solution is to do
Mhm.
away with the monopoly. And I know they cannot do away with the monopoly because most people who've invested in the Kenya Power are politicians, people like Dindi Nyoro. They're the ones who are having the largest share there. So the more it is monopolized, the more profit they make. And actually, those people who are rich, the ones who are making money, the richest parastatal in this country, if I'm not wrong, seem to be the Kenya Power and Lighting Company. So Chirchir is
Mhm.
on the receiving end because of the power outrage that we've been receiving in the country. That is why he's on the receiving end, and everybody is annoyed. Not that he's performing badly. And there are some ministries that we don't. Have you ever heard of the Minister of Agriculture, the Cabinet Secretary of Agriculture, Linturi? Do you even see him anywhere? Do you even see him launching a maize
Mhm.
plant? So he doesn't do that. But why is he rated ahead of Chirchir? Chirchir is just because of these things that have happened, and there is power outrage. Power affects everybody. So that anger and the fact that historically his performance has always been questioned, his integrity.
What of
That
this
is
guy
why.
from Nakuru? There's this yes from Nakuru, and mm, there's this yes from Nakuru, and the CS from Nakuru was he was highly praised because him being the first CS appointed from the region. I don't know, from Nakuru. I don't think I can praise him so much. He was in the lands docket. Nothing much can be said about him. Now he's in the water docket. I don't think the people of Nakuru have felt his impact. He's rated higher than Chilchil. Do you think he has performed higher and better than Chilchil?
If there is somebody that we
That is
need
yes,
that
Ndongo.
if there is
As
somebody that
is it
needed
no? Yes,
equal
Zachary,
whatever,
Zachary Ndongo.
if there is somebody that needed equal anger that people are supposed to be angry to, same as Chirchir is that CS water, yeah, something to do that water. No, people have died. How many people have died because of
Mhm.
floods? And they knew very well that we are going to have El Nino. What did they do as in that ministry to ensure that the dams are there so that this water can be reserved for maybe future use? So there's somebody that also people
Mhm.
needed to, but I don't know what people use to gauge people. You've just said that he's the first one in the region. Maybe the people who have praised him are just overwhelmed that we are having a CS from our region. So that is what
Mhm.
happened. Yeah. But we
Because
can't
the
locate
match
these
you have
guys. We
gotten
can't locate
before
them.
were assistant ministers like Namirugi Karaoke, who died in a plane crash, among many others. But we have never
But what are
had
these? If I ask
a
you, it seems you're also
CS
overwhelmed by this
directly
fact
from the
that
field.
you're also overwhelmed that you are getting a CS from your region. So what does this thing help you with? For example, those people who come from Nyanza, in Uhuru's
Not that
government,
I'm overwhelmed. It is. I've just given
people.
you statistics.
Okay, I'm saying people get overwhelmed
I've
that
just
see
given you
CS is
statistics.
coming from our region. Let me tell you, these
Mhm.
CSs are working for the salary that they get benefit them and their families. During the Uhuru regime, like for example, the Luo Nyanza had how many CS? We had Tuju who was a CS. they had Magoha, they had Rachel Mamo. Those were three cabinet secretaries. They also had the police spokesman. They had the government spokesman or the state house spokesman, that guy Oguna. So all these guys, if they did not see the benefit, then you want to see people start celebrating that CS Owalo has been appointed from the Luo Nyanza. No, these people are not there for your own benefit. As long as they can perform their duty, even if you can have CS from one specific region and we fail to have this CS from my region, if they are not working, we don't care. How many people celebrate Matiang'i? Are they kisses? Several people within this country go to coast, go to central, go to western, come to Nyanza. We celebrate Matiang'i not because he came from our region in Nyanza, but we celebrate Matiang'i because in each and every ministry that he went to, he could be felt. He went to the Ministry of ICT. That is the time that we had something called analog and digital. We saw some changes. Matiang'i left, was taken to the Ministry of Education. What happened? We saw at the end of exam cheating, and people will tell you that, you see, I scored a C ya Matiang'i. Yeah? They will tell you that, to tell you that C ya Matiang'i means it had some integrity. Then he was given the Minister of Interior. At some point, he was handling two ministries. He performed. The little Magoha was there when he was taken to the NEC, the National Examination Council, and Matiang'i was at the Ministry of Education. That is when they came up with the reforms that you see in the examination. They reduced the time of marking, and there was a lot of integrity. And Magoha was now given the Ministry of Education. That is the time that we saw schools building classrooms without waiting for CDF. We saw Magoha walking in a classroom and asking any teacher, these kids are not having a desk, what are you waiting for? And you've been getting money each and every time, even though people said he was arrogant, but he liked sanity. So those are the kind of people that we want. So do you want to tell me somebody from Central will fail to celebrate Magoha simply because Magoha is not coming from Kiambu? So telling me that a CS is coming from my village when I cannot even see what this CS is doing, that is really nonsense that we need to stop as a country. We better have people from one region, but they can work.
Alex, do you agree with the sentiments from Leo?
Yeah, you see.
Okay.
We should,
Alex, what is your take on the same?
Yeah, we should not tribalize competence and performance, because then we will be trashing what we call excellency. If you look at how even Ruto has structured his government, is awarding cronies, people who have no clues of what or where things should be done. So I agree with Mr. Leo in that when we become incapable of choosing leaders who can perform and give credence, and also become role models, then we trash the ability for us to do what? To continue as a country. Look at his cabinet, as Leo has said. His cabinet is poorly oriented. Angalia, like people like Wahome, people like Moses Kuria. You know, I like Owalo, but I think Owalo was misplaced too. He was given a docket that he could not function. So I think there comes a time whereby you need to look your cabinet in the face of the country and ask yourself, how can it perform? Remember when Uhuru was the president? No. Before the handshake, the government was poorly performing because things were not moving on well. Remember, somebody like Kiunjuri overstayed in the Ministry of Agriculture to a point that, I mean, everything was going down and down and down and down. So when Baba came into the limelight, what he did was to advise Uhuru and tell him, look, Kiunjuri may be your friend. He may have supported you, ABCD. But in this ministry, he's not capable of doing anything good. Let's get him out. Remember, Baba wasn't even a good friend of Munya, but he told him, if you want a person who will perform, bring Munya in. And Munya came in a few days. You could see the macadamia prices go up. you could see the price of tea go up. For the first time, I had a bonus. Niko na chai nyingi sana sijaiona bonus in my life. My father left me a lot of tea. For the first time, I saw a bonus of tea, which I actually nilikuja nyumbani bila pesa yoyote, and I enjoyed that amount of money because people, when you have performance, they end up helping, the buying index of the people. Look at people like Mutahi Kagwe. Mutahi Kagwe, as a minister for communication during Kibaki's time, was very pathetic. Remember, he's the one who issued that gag order so that we could not have known what happened in post-election in 2005. But when he became a minister for health, Mutahi Kagwe, he was a performer. Things became very well. So I think you're right, so right by saying that, Mr. Leo, that performance is the basic need of Kenyans, not tribal cocoons. This tribal cocoonism has totally killed us. For instance, I'll tell you, this tag called, I don't even want to say his name, the Minister for Education, he has no capacity to hold. 1 year down the road, when he was given a clean slate ministry through Matiang'i, through Makoha, he has totally abused it. So the Ministry of Education in the coming few days, as you're going to see, is going to be a balloon. Why? Because you have somebody, a crony, who has been what? Appointed for readers of what? William Samoei Ruto. So, Leo, you're right. We must ask, competence to serve us, not tribalism. Thank you.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we choose to wrap up this particular part of the show. Of course, we have another interesting one coming up at 10 p.m. Kenyan time. I don't know what time that will be in your country, but it is around 6 hours from now. 6 hours from now, you can add it to the time you are right now, and we'll have this show again. Of course, with another hot topic, with another great debate, and with more panelists, and even those who are here to discuss this. But before we wrap up, I choose to discuss the newspaper of the Standard, of course, and together with the Daily Nation. I want to look at the cartoon, the caricature of today, and this is what the Standard has for you, ladies and gentlemen. And it's interesting. I don't know if it's visible. Let me try to do it this way. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me, guys? Now, this is the cartoon for the day. This is the caricature. Now, it's showing Mr. Raila Odinga running away from the press conference. Raila is wearing a sport gear imeandikwa Team Azimio. The press want to know, are you still running for presidency, of course, in 2027? Of course, this one has been done by Gado. Interesting picture. I don't know why this is important now. We are very far from elections, but 2 seconds. Let me begin with you, Bwana Leo. This art, is it even relevant now?
Mr. Jackson, there is no right time for something to be relevant. I know politics is something that is living, and it doesn't have the right time. People do politics throughout. When the elections, immediately you stop, if you finish casting your vote, the politicians start thinking of the next election. So if you look at that photo, it's like people are they want to know if Raila will still be running in the next. He's not running away from the media, but that race that he is running, that is the race to the state house. That is the race to 2027. So these guys want to know if Raila is still running in 2027. But if you look, Raila is already in motion. So it's like, these guys, you can see I'm the Azimio, Team Azimio. I'm the one who can be seen, like I'm the one who is representing Azimio here. I'm still in the motion, and you're asking me if I'm running in 2027. So in other words, I think nobody has come out to show some interest in running in 2027. You don't just run for elections by saying that I'm running. You must be seen running. You must be felt running. You must be trusted running. So in this case, Raila is wondering. There's nobody who is also putting on that gear. He's already jogging. Yeah, if not yet stopped jogging, other people maybe have gone and are now resting and not doing anything. So it seems if things don't change, then he might still find himself running. I think
Okay,
that is what
Alex.
will happen. Nobody is showing some seriousness. Huh?
Okay. Alex, what do you make of that cartoon?
You know, we grew up listening to whispers. I don't know if you remember whispers.
Yeah.
Reading him every Sunday, and
Mm.
I became fond of cartoons. This cartoon, acha niangalie vizuri so that I can give you the right depiction. Yeah, nimeangalia. So that's good. Thank you, Dex. You can put back our pictures. In 2027, if there is an election that Ruto will lose fair and square, it is against Raila Amolo Odinga. I don't know, there was a rare video that many people did not see of Mudama talking about 2027. Did you watch that, Mudama talking about 2027?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mudama said one thing. I agreed with him that there is no way anyone can defeat William Samoei Ruto in 2027 if it is not Raila Amolo Odinga. And he said it in a very funny way that they know he's going to run. So the issue of Raila running is not the issue of himself. I've been privileged to be a friend of Fidel. And at some point, Raila, as a fan, is tired of playing politics. But Kenyans cannot find somebody who will come to the podium to play the politics that Raila has played. The pathos and the sanity and the sanctity of politics this man has played over the years is of resounding legacy, to a point that until his last breath, Kenyans will always need him to be part and parcel of the Kenyan politics. So it's not Raila deciding to run. It is the people. Because right now, if you put Kalonzo and Kalonzo as my candidate, I'll tell you that I'll be disappointed, because I don't think Kalonzo as a person is somebody who is capable of managing a well-oiled campaign. Remember, Mr. Jakes, I've been in 2 ODM campaigns whereby I was in logistics. And I will guarantee you, campaigns are not easy. Kenya has one of the high-tech campaigns in the world. And some countries are aping us, or they are copying us, like Uganda, Bobby Wines, Chamisa in Zimbabwe, Malema in South Africa. They're just starting to copy us. Remember 2005, when we campaigned, was it the NASA or the court? That time it was the court. I'm telling you, we had one of the most expensive campaigns in the world. Most expensive. And we shook the world on how we did. Mudavadi, I didn't know by that time, used to have a ndege, akapeana kwa watu wa court, you know, and the kind of well-oiled machine, like a well-oiled machine campaign we had, shook East Africa, shook the whole of Africa. You could go to Tanzania, watu wa Tanzania wanangojea wanafanya nini? Kuangalia tu vile Wakenya wanafanya nini? Kampeni zake. So Raila running again is not an issue here. It is the culture that he is deeply embedded into running a campaign that is fashionable. Very fashionable. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Now, the Daily Nation as well has a cartoon, and the caricature from Daily Nation now has several people. One, we have the control of budget, Margaret Nyakanga, We have the president, who's the driver. We have a passenger. The one seated on the passenger seat is the DP, and on the back left is the CS. Now, when you look at this image, it is a, it's called the KK economic ride. Eh? The car is yellow, of course, signifying the what do you call it? Signifying the colors ya UDA. You see, hii gari imeshatoa engine from the picture, engine imetoka, alafu hii gari ukiangalia from back there imekuwa ikienda zigzag, it has not been going correctly or rather straight, and then the engine is out. And Nyakango is pointing a finger to the economy. Of course, he's pointing an accusing finger to the KK government. This is what the president is saying, that we are stable. We are stable despite, you see, the engine, the car has no engine. The CS Ndongo is saying we are doing badly, and of course with the DP saying we are no longer in ICU. But when you look at the state of the car, it has no engine. You know, the bonnet is open, it's empty, it's black in color, it's empty. The economy is not doing well. Um, as per this caricature. Honorable Lex, do you think this is spot on description of what our economy is?
That's one of the perfect classical example of correctness.
Uh-huh.
Because there's no better way to describe that situation. KK as a
Uh-huh.
government has totally failed,
Uh-huh.
and you look at what's going on with Madam Nyakango right now. Is
Uh-huh.
she's ready to unveil some of the most odious corruptions in the country, but she's being prevented. And you look at William Samoei Ruto, the center is not holding water anymore.
Uh-huh.
He's just a figurehead. You see, there's a difference between having the role of the presidency and just being the figurehead of the presidency.
Uh-huh.
And if you look at Ruto right now, his role as a
Uh-huh.
president it's not attainable because the guy is always out of the country.
Uh-huh.
These people are in a
Uh-huh.
meeting spree. They,
Uh-huh.
they have hired managers, people who can't manage anything, including managing the
Uh-huh.
amount of money they are using out of the country. So you can see, as
Uh-huh.
Madam Nyakango is looking at that car, it has no engine. So the engine is the car, and the car is the engine. The other things are just parts, because what moves the
Uh-huh.
car is the engine. Once you take it off, then it
Uh-huh.
stops rolling. And once it stops rolling, stagnation
Uh-huh.
remains. And once you have stagnation in any mobile situation, it means you are good at them. So this
Uh-huh.
government is as good as them. Okay? And that's a clear picture. And I like the yellow color
Okay.
to remind us that look, this is what you chose. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Now I know Alex. He's in a different time zone than us. I'm sure he's pretty worn out. And equally, our viewers as well. We wish to thank you for choosing to be part of this great discussion. We do this again in the evening. We have had a nice conversation. I don't know about you, but I've truly enjoyed this debate. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, we had a very good debate. We will continue to having this great debate. They are not just debates great; they are robust because we speak truth to the power, and we converge ourselves to know what are we being lied to, or what are we lying ourselves to. Yeah, so Kenyans should not accept the kind of, for instance, what we spoke about of the power outages. Kenyans should not accept that. We must demand resignations from the people who are responsible, and we must demand what is called accountability. so that we can know why was there an outage and some cargo flights were seen taking over. What happened there? What was being shipped? So that we can, was it a normal outage? So that's why I'm saying these are great debates. And these people listen to us, by the way. When they hear us speak, they listen to us. So let us talk so that they can continue to listen to us. Thank you, John.
Thank you so much, Alex, and thank you so much, our viewers. This is Africa Edition. Asanteni sana. Sorry for beginning this show quite late in the day, but it normally happens early in the morning from 8 a.m. Kenyan time. But today, because of ish kidogo, lakini we chose we must have the show. Here at Africa, the show must go on. Asante sana wadau. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you, my panelists and the guys who made this possible, the entire crew. Asanteni, asanteni sana. Now, you guys are amazing. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Above all, may you enjoy your day. May you be fruitful. And above all, may you see what God has in store for you. And as I've always told you, may your name be mentioned in pleasant places. Asante sana. See you in the evening with another awesome discussion. This is Afric Show. This is Jake, the moderator. I've been your host. See you in the evening. Bye bye. Good day. Take care. Bye bye.